the NT News is taking it to the Sunshine State to try to lure Queenslanders across the border. Joining us now is NT News Deputy Editor Jill Paulson and Courier Mail columnist and Sky News host Peter Gleeson. Good morning to you both. First to you, Jill. I mean, I'm looking at two of the headlines today. First of all, on the NT News, the new NT pitch to lure Queenslanders here, and it's also on the Courier Mail this morning as well. So first of all, what's it all about?
So it's a really clever ploy by our government aiming to lure Queenslanders to the Territory. It really is the land of opportunity here. There's so many jobs for those who are willing, and it's a really great lifestyle. So I feel a bit sorry for Queenslanders. They would have woken up thinking, oh, it wasn't a dream, I'm actually in the Territory. But it's not. It's a marketing campaign hoping to get them here.
Will they be successful in this campaign, Gleeso?
Oh, there's no way in the world, Peter Stefanovic. I mean, we're living in God's country here in Queensland. We have a build-up here for the state of origin. The Northern Territory just has this long, hot, steamy build-up. They've got a rock in the middle of their state, which they won't even allow tourists to climb. We've got the Great Barrier Reef, which, of course, forget the sharks, but the Great Barrier Reef is a terrific place, one of the 7 wonders of the world. So to answer your question, Peter Stefanovic, I think most Queensland, and Jill Paulson spent a lot of time here in recent years. She knows that Queensland's got it all over the NT. Yeah,
Jill, I think you, as a Queenslander myself, you're probably taking 2 Queenslanders on here. What are the jobs that are available? You referred to that in the first one. I mean, it's a tough call to be able to get people to leave those beautiful beaches of Queensland and go to Darwin, where, with respect, the water's a bit brown, it's full of crocs, and it's also, quite warm.
Well, I'm actually also a Queenslander as well, and I left Queensland to move to the Northern Territory, not once but twice. So I had a quick stint back in Queensland and I thought, oh, actually the Territory's way better. And there's plenty of places to swim that aren't inhabited by crocs, including Kakadu National Park, Litchfield National Park. There's plenty of places to swim. And we do have one of the lowest unemployment rates in Australia. There's plenty of opportunities here. And in fact, that's why most people come. They come because there's great opportunities for work. And then they get here and they realise that the lifestyle is second to none and they stay or come back, in my case.
Well, Gleeso, I mean, Jill referred to business opportunities there in Darwin. There's a lot of business opportunities in Queensland, right?
Well, there is indeed, other than the $80 billion debt that is an albatross around the neck of the current government. But you know what, Pete? I was only thinking the other day, I've spent a bit of time in the Northern Territory, and I remember once I went down to a little place called Parap where they had the markets, and the other day I was actually at South Bank and I was thinking, South Bank, Parap markets, I think I'll take South Bank. So, look, you mentioned business opportunities. In all fairness to the Northern Territory, they do have a significant debt themselves, a per capita debt, which is as high as Queensland's. I often look at their politicians and I think to myself, what actually happened there along the way, because they certainly don't have some of the best politicians in the country. But good luck to them. I think the Northern Territory has a lot going for it. The other thing is they follow that aerial ping pong game up there rather than the real game, which is rugby league. Yeah,
that is right. And I got to say, I've enjoyed my time every time I've gone to the NT. I've enjoyed it. And Matt Wright's a friend of mine. He's a bit of royalty of Northern Territory. He is. Good morning to you, Matt, if you're watching. Jill, why not extend the invitation to beyond Queensland and maybe try and pull some people out of New South Wales or any other state for that matter?
Well, absolutely. Anybody's welcome to come, for sure. But I think we're targeting Queensland because there are some real similarities between the Northern Territory and Queensland. For starters, the hot weather's not going to put them off, particularly for our far north Queenslanders. But it's true that we just have way more opportunities for employment here in the Northern Territory than in far north Queensland at the moment. So that's probably why we're targeting Queensland. And also when it comes to flights out of the Territory can be tricky, that's true. But when it comes to flying back to Queensland, you can always find a pretty reasonably priced flight. So I think it's sort of a no-brainer for us to invite Queenslanders.
Well, Jill, you do mention that there are some similarities between the Northern Territory and Northern Queensland when it comes to summer, because they are both very hot. But at least in the winter time, it does get quite cool in Northern Queensland, whereas in the NT, it's still very hot.
Well, I wouldn't say it's very hot. I wore a cardigan maybe 3 times this year, so...
Did you?
It certainly
did it get to 28 degrees,
a little
did it?
bit. Yeah, it was quite chilly. There was a breeze. But the weather's beautiful, especially at this time of year. We've probably got a couple weeks left of really good weather.
All right. Okay. Last word, Gleeso.
Well, Jill mentioned the similarities between you mentioned the similarities between North Queensland and the Northern Territory. I mean, the only similarities that I can see is the size of the crocs.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, I remember once the Cairns Post and the NT News had what they called a croc-off, and they tried to establish which particular place had the bigger crocs. Darwin won hands down.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the crocs up there, fair dinkum, Peter Stefanovic, you would not go anywhere near any particular waterways up there.